Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the space pace strategic framework. But to really get this, I want you to mentally jump back to the year 2008. Picture this. The economy is absolutely tanking, and two founders are drowning in credit card debt, just trying to keep their very uncertain startup alive. They've got an idea they truly, deeply believe in, but literally nobody else cares. Time is running out, and, well, more importantly, the money is gone. So here's the multi-billion-dollar question. How on earth did selling breakfast cereals save a tech company? I know, it sounds like a total joke, right? But it is exactly what Brian Chesky and Joe Gebbia did to save a failing little startup called Airbed and Breakfast. Yep, that Airbnb. Staring down financial ruin, these guys decided to design and sell limited edition election-themed cereal boxes for $40 a pop. And, crazily enough, it worked. This wild stunt generated around $30,000 in exact runway cash. That was just enough breathing room to keep their endangered company alive while they figured things out. They called their cereals Obama O's, which they brilliantly marketed as the breakfast of change, and Cap'n McCain's, pitched as a maverick in every bite. They perfectly hijacked the public's attention during that 2008 presidential election. And get this, not only did it bring in that crucial cash, but those actual physical cereal boxes later became a standout exhibit when they interviewed for the super influential startup accelerator, U Combinator. Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever been tempted to launch some desperate side hustle when your main project hits a wall? It is so easy to draw the completely wrong lesson from this awesome story. People love to say, oh, they just hustled. They thought outside the box, literally, and refused to die. But honestly, blind hustle is the wrong takeaway here. Creative hustle is just too vague to be a real strategy. In reality, desperate side projects usually suck up your scarce time, scatter your attention, and basically destroy your main mission. The real lesson here is about strategic cognition. It's about how to leverage a totally unexpected opportunity to protect your main mission without letting that new opportunity take over the whole show. And to pull that off, we need to introduce the space pace strategic framework. You see, strategy is never just about chasing one isolated goal, because let's face it, no important goal actually exists in a vacuum. Everything you do pulls from a wider pool of limited resources: your time, your money, your energy, even your reputation. So space is your portfolio view. It manages the whole system and protects your base. Pace, on the other hand, advances your specific mission. Part 1, space. Protect the base. Let's break this down. This is entirely about guarding your foundation. A localized win in one area can actually wreck your wider system if you're not careful. Think about it. You could win a massive new client but completely burn out your team. Or you jump on some flashy new opportunity, run out of cash, and end up abandoning the core work that gave you direction in the first place. So the SPACE acronym is your map to prevent that kind of disaster. It stands for Survey What's Currently Active, Protect What Absolutely Must Stay Viable financially and reputationally, allocate where those limited resources need to go right now, coordinate activities so they aren't cannibalizing each other, and evolve by deciding what needs to grow, what needs to pause, or what just needs to end entirely. And look, space is not just another productivity hack to get more things done. It's a way to see the entire playing field before one super urgent, shiny demand steals all your resources. The central question you have to ask is, what must remain viable while I pursue this new thing? Now, if we look at Airbnb's constraints through this space lens, that crazy cereal project makes perfect strategic sense. First, financial viability. They desperately needed cash. The cereal provided it. Second, founder capacity. Chesky and Gebbia were already incredible designers. They used skills they already had in their back pocket instead of trying to master something totally new, like software engineering. Third, attention. They perfectly timed the temporary window of the election. Fourth, reputation. It showed investors they had immense imagination and grit. And finally, future options. It kept the dream alive so they could keep building the actual startup. They protected their base perfectly by leveraging exactly what they already had. All right, moving on to part 2, pace. Advance the mission. This is about how you actually take intelligent action, because while space manages the whole portfolio to keep you breathing, pace is what organizes your action around one very specific mission within that protected zone. PACE stands for Purpose, Assess, Commit, and Evolve. And I really want to stress here, this is not a one-and-done checklist you just tick off. It's a continuous spiral loop. You take action, that action produces feedback, and then that feedback might mean you just need a small local tweak to your plan, or hey, it might mean the whole model needs to be reevaluated. It keeps you driving forward, but ensures you are actually learning along the way. Now, what's really interesting here is how having a clear purpose dramatically shrinks your search space. Without it, you're just staring into a chaotic void of endless options. It's paralyzing. But with a clear purpose, the path clears right up. For Airbnb, a terrible purpose would have been, hey, let's build a highly profitable, scalable novelty cereal company. That opens up a massive can of worms regarding manufacturing, retail, and long-term branding. Their actual purpose was laser-focused. Generate just enough survival cash and attention to keep Airbnb alive. The cereal didn't need to become a consumer goods empire. It literally just needed to work one time. Which leads right into the assess phase, where you build your minimum sufficient model. This basically means creating just enough structure to guide a useful, proportionate action while leaving plenty of room to learn. When things are uncertain, we usually mess up in one of two ways. We either jump on the very first idea without testing a single assumption, or we get completely paralyzed by endless modeling because the future is scary and uncertain. The Airbnb founders totally avoided that paralysis. They didn't need to know if Airbnb was going to be a global platform tomorrow. They just needed to know if they could sell a bounded, physical product today, quickly enough to buy them more time. And this brilliantly illustrates the commit phase. PACE treats commitment like a threshold problem, basically asking, when do you have enough evidence to actually pull the trigger? That cereal experiment was perfectly right-sized for the risks they faced. The cost of being wrong was completely contained. They didn't have to build a permanent cereal factory. But the cost of waiting? That was astronomically high, because they were out of runway and the company would literally die. Plus, it was easily reversible. The election would end, and the project would naturally just wrap up. Then comes the evolve phase, powered by a learning engine we call the G-loop. This is where you compare what actually happened with what you thought was going to happen. But listen, here is an absolutely crucial warning. You have to watch out for false learning. Success is incredibly seductive. It's super easy to look back and say, wow, those cereal boxes proved Airbnb was destined for greatness. But they didn't. Selling cereal did absolutely nothing to prove strangers wanted to sleep on airbeds in other people's living rooms. It didn't validate their core business model at all. What it actually proved was much narrower. It proved the founders were resilient, they could design a great product, and they could hustle for cash under intense pressure. It validated the team, for sure, but definitely not the product market fit. So, pulling the whole shebang together, we arrive at the ultimate practical takeaway for your own strategic decisions, the bounded adjacent move. When your main mission is on the ropes, please don't just launch a wild, disconnected side hustle out of sheer panic. You need to look for a move that acts like a bridge. A bounded adjacent move stems directly from your main mission when it's under threat. It branches out to do two very specific things: protect the base and preserve future options. A side project should support your mission. It shouldn't replace it. The very best adjacent moves address a real constraint, use capabilities you already have in-house, are strictly bounded in both cost and duration, and, this is the big one, they leave you entirely able to go right back to your core work the second the crisis passes. Selling cereal guys was never the strategy. Preserving their ability to keep building the startup, that was the strategy. So before you dive headfirst into your next big side project, bridge opportunity, or strategic pivot, I want you to ask yourself honestly, will this opportunity preserve my mission or will it quietly replace it? Keep that front and center. Manage your space to protect the base, maintain your pace to advance the mission, and I promise you'll navigate uncertainty with some serious strategic resilience. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.